Oh, Ramsay! Snow coming for that ass. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Game of Toms. I am your host, Tom Grossi, as we sit down and we review Season 6, Episode 4, Book of the Stranger. A jam-packed episode this evening, and I loved this episode for many, many reasons. Starting right off the bat, easing a lot of fears that people had last week that Sansa and Jon were going to be posting on misconnections on Craigslist. Nay, they are reunited, and it feels so good! So good! Considering that we have not seen these characters interact with each other since Season 1. So it's been 5 years since they have seen each other. They have gone through some things, little hardships, a little pain, a lot of pain. Someone got murdered, then the other one was married to Ramsay, but which is worse at this point. And it was really awesome to kind of just see two Starks kind of come together, and right away, it's amazing that they're just looking for and like, listen, Sansa right away is like, we need to take back Winterfell. And Jon, as we saw from last week with his mic drop saying, my watch is ended, no, nay, I'm done. I'm done fighting, doing all this stuff. And it's really Sansa trying to convince Jon, all right, we got to go back, take back our home. And if you're not going to help me, I'm just going to do it myself. So I like that we start off with that scene. They kind of took a look back at like some Season 1, like if you could go back and kind of, talk yourselves out of it, scream at themselves, saying, don't do any of this because all this terribleness is going to happen to your family. It was a really cool moment, and it was like a peaceful moment. And we saw also some great characters coming together, like Brienne coming over to both Davos and the Red Ladies like, oh yeah, guess what? Stannis admitted to me that he did some blood magic to kill Renly, and then I chopped off his head, which was just awesome. Which, by the way, Red Lady is on Team Snow now. I gotta get me one of them t-shirts, hashtag Team Snow. So that's pretty cool. Davos asking Melisandre about Princess Shireen, which is just soul-crushingly heartbreaking, because as we remember from last season, probably one of the worst things that this show has ever done in burning a child alive is one of those scenes that was just so terrible. And I was really wondering if she was going to mention it to Davos, but they didn't. I'm assuming they're going to save that, because you have to think as soon as Davos finds out that Melisandre is actually behind the burning of Shireen, that's going to be the end of her. So we'll see where that goes. And then for the first time this season, we saw Peter Baelish, aka Littlefinger, coming back with an opening scene of Robin still being ugly and still being awful at just about everything. Can't even get the arrow to the target. He really is just a hideous looking human being. But props to the actor, because you play a scrawny, nasty, sniveling, snobbing little child very, very well. So on point for method acting. But you could see that Littlefinger has his fingers wrapped around Robin as the Lord of the Vale. And I see that, as we looked at later the episode when Jon finally agrees to attack Winterfell, I think that Littlefinger is going to play a part in that and kind of getting the support from the Vale and then putting it with the wildlings. And boom, you got an army to go take on Ramsay. But we'll talk about that in just a second. We went over to Meereen and saw Tyrion really playing the game. And we haven't seen really politics, or at least Westeros politics, brought to this region with slavery and Meereen and Slaver's Bay. And Tyrion's really kind of showing everybody, like, listen, sometimes you can't get it done with a sword. You just need to talk to people, and you need to make changes slowly. I mean, if you look at it from a different perspective, Daenerys came into this place, kind of wiped out a bunch of people and was like, hey, this is the new law of the land, like it or die. So, obviously, we saw it last year with the Sons of the Harpy, and the kind of old masters are supporting that financially. she kind of got a lot of pushback, and Tyrion's like, listen, this is not how things are gonna be done. Gives them 7 years, and gives them women, and says, here you go, have a great time, have a good sail back home. So that was kind of cool. We kind of went over to Jorah as well, and I couldn't when they're climbing the mountain looking for Dany, the only thing I could think of is, and I would do anything for love, as he just scales the mountain. Speaking of scales, he also took a look at his arm as well, as he's slowly becoming the Thing from Fantastic Four, which already I think he's doing a better job than the actual Fantastic Four movie did. But they get to where Dany is being captured, and you have a great scene. There really is like a buddy cop dynamic, but they find Dany after they bash some poor guy's head in with a rock, and Dany's like, listen, we're not going to make it out of here alive, but I got a plan. And it was a fantastic plan. But bam, cut. Where are we going? High Sparrow and Marjorie. Marjorie, who has been a non-factor for this season and probably half of last season after she gets captured. We find out the High Sparrow's kind of origin story about, like, how he wanted to be all of these things. He was a cobbler. He put a lot of time and effort, and all he did was spend with the money is, materialistic things. And he just woke up one day and was like, yeah, this isn't what I want anymore. And the High Sparrow, I think, is a really cool villain in the sense that the guy really just wants to tear everything down and make things simple. Like, he wants to take all of these people who we've seen as quote-unquote bad people and kind of just do away with them, do away with this whole rich-poor thing, and just put everybody on the same level. And at the same time, while you root against him, there's some part of you that's like, okay, like I see where he's coming from. He's empathetic. And you have Loras and Marjorie coming together. Loras is the flower knight, has really never been the strong one of the family. And Marjorie sees this, and it is said later that she's going to have to atone for her sins in the same way that Cersei had to take her shame walk as well. The whole big shame, the whole deal. So that was, Cersei comes up with a plan, basically, that they're going to wind up taking her back, and hopefully killing the High Sparrow if everything goes well. So, again, interesting. Little side note. And it said also that Cersei's trial, is supposed to be in a few days. And I'm very interested to see what the outcome of that is going to be, if the trial even takes place. But we'll see about that. Theon Greyjoy finally arriving back home in the Iron Islands. Not really received too well by his sister, due to last year's kind of rescue attempt in which he was just crying in the corner. A bunch of people died because of that. But he wants to see his sister really rise to the throne. And it's a really cool scene of, she's like, what do you want? Like, you came home, what do you want from this? And he's like, I just want to help you become queen, because there's nothing else for me to really do. So Theon's, I'm hoping the Iron Islands kind of take I hope they really get into the fray. Just like Littlefinger said with the Vale, I hope that the Iron Islands and Theon, they really are able to come back into the main story, and it's not just like a side plot. I hope it doesn't turn into a Dorne, is basically what I'm saying, which we haven't gone back to since the premiere, which I'm totally okay with. I'm okay, again, if we never go back to Dorne ever again. We also saw Asha, the wildling, meet Ramsay, and there was a small part, now here's the thing, there was a small part of me that I was like, okay, maybe Asha's going to be able to play him a little bit. I didn't think that she was going to be able to kill him, but once, the whole straddling starting and she's going for the knife, I'm like, yeah, this is not going to end well for you. And it didn't. Asha wound up catching a knife in the throat, and that was really the end of that, solidifying that we really, really hate Ramsay. And then to kind of finish off with Jon Snow and Sansa, you have this, it was 20 seconds, but this great kind of scene between Tormund and Brienne. They're sitting at the table, and Tormund's just like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, yes, that should be the couple. I will root for that. So Tormund and Brienne, what is that, Torren, if that is their couple name, or do we go with Briand? Those both sound awful, but I want to see those characters together. Then you have Ramsay sending some beautiful, beautiful poetry to Jon Snow in a form of a letter, basically saying, we have recon, bring me back my wife, or all these god-awful things are going to happen to everyone you ever cared about and ever loved. And I really want to see this Bastard Bowl go down. This is when Jon Snow turns to Tormund and is like, listen, okay, Recon's still alive. How many people you got? 2,000? Okay, we'll find some other ones and we'll attack Winterfell. I feel like this is going to be the big battle of the season. I know the writers alluded to something quite earlier, right before the season began, about having like a full-blown army versus army. And I feel like that's what it's going to be. So later episodes, like episode 8, episode 9, I really think we're going to see Ramsay go against Jon Snow and hope, just really, really hope that this will be the end of Ramsay, and I will be very, very, very happy about that. But we ended off with Dany, and I was hoping, because I had to say, for the past, at least for this season and a little bit of last season, her story is really kind of taking a sidetrack, and it's really hasn't been that great or entertaining. But that all changed at the very end, which was really, really awesome. And she gets on and she's basically telling them, listen, you're not going to serve me. You're going to die. And at that point, I was like, where's the dragon? Where's Drogon? He's going to come through, crash through the road, whole 9 yards, going to kill everybody. But no, she kind of takes matters into her own hands, in case you forgot this whole unburned thing. And she lights the whole place on fire, killing everybody. And a really badass scene. Walks out completely naked and is like, let's do this thing. So overall, I love this episode. I'm giving it a strong 9.0 out of 10. Really, really enjoyed it. The preview for next week, by the way, had me squealing like a little girl in that Bran is going to go into some vision mode and is going to come face to face with the Night King, which is freaking awesome. So a great episode, 9.0 out of 10 for me. I'm really looking forward to next week, and things are really starting to ramp up here, and I couldn't be more excited. If you have any questions, absolutely ask down in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, do whatever you gotta do. I'm Tom Grossi. This has been another episode of Game of Toms, and I will see you next week. We out.